Hi everybody, my name is Pastor Brett Johnson and I'm serving the Seneca Castle and Lyons United Methodist Churches, and my district superintendent, Jeff McDowell, asked me to make a video about how we can best reach out to our communities that we serve through Facebook Live or other streaming services. So I just want to quickly show my setup. Because I have two churches, I had a second tripod set up. But all you really need is a tripod or something to prop up your device. So as you can see, I have a small table with a tripod with an attachment to hold a phone. And it's pretty straightforward. It just snaps in and you can move around and do what you need to do to talk to your people. But that being said, you do need some kind of a smart device, whether it's a smartphone or a computer, to do this streaming. I used Facebook Live this past Sunday. It's something I'm familiar with from partnering with my wife and her business. But you may choose to use YouTube or any other type of streaming device, or just record and then upload. With that, you need to make sure that you have enough battery. Because even Sunday, when I was only on for 35 to 40 minutes, it still drained my battery almost 40%. So it does take a lot of power. So just be aware of that. If you can hard plug in, then it's nothing you need to worry about. But just keep that in mind. With Facebook especially, I'm not sure about YouTube because I haven't done anything on YouTube, but with Facebook Live, there is a tremendous lag. I'd say anywhere from 2 to 3 seconds from the time that somebody types in to the time that it will show up on your screen. So a good practice to get into is, like if you're doing Joys and Concerns, prep people before you're going to start Joys and Concerns. Like if you have some already written down, say, okay, I'm going to be starting Joys and Concerns, start typing them in now, and then that way, by the time you're done with your own Joys and Concerns that you already have prepared, their concerns or joys are up on the screen and you can read them and share them and pray for them. You need adequate lighting. One of the critiques that I received from my wife was that I was backlit, because that cross over my shoulder, I had turned it on. And I also did not turn on the spotlight on the pulpit. So it can create a halo effect if you need to play around with where you are so that you are able to get the best lighting so that people can see you. Depending on your lighting, you may be able to see some reflection in your glasses like I can see in mine. Just be aware of that. And if you're comfortable enough and can read well enough without your glasses, that's probably the best option. But if you're like me and can't, you got to make do. When you go into Facebook Live, you will have the opportunity to, before you click go live, right above there's description. And you tap that and you type in your description. Click here to join our worship service for Sunday, we'll say March 22nd, 2020, comment that you were here. That way we can keep track of attendance, because that's one thing I didn't think about on Sunday, was how to track attendance. Because this all came together last minute. So figure out how you're going to track attendance. This past Sunday, I used analytics. Anybody that watched the video for over a minute, I counted. And then I also, I know there were a couple of watch parties. Granted, one was my family, because I have 4 kids in addition to my wife and myself. But I know there was at least one watch party. So they commented how many they had, and I subtracted 1 and added that to the total. Have a plan. This is my plan right here. Write out a liturgy. You can use the liturgy that's in the Book of Worship and the United Methodist Hymnal for a short period of time. It is copywritten, but Taylor Burton Edwards shared a link in the United Methodist Clergy group with guidelines as far as what licenses you need, permissions, and all of that. So I'll have links to that available. The United Methodist Publishing House, I believe it's until the end of May, has granted permission to live stream the liturgy. But if you write your own liturgy, you don't need to ask for permission. Or you can adapt liturgies from the Episcopal Church 1979 prayer book. It is public domain. It's online. If you don't have a hard copy, there are other resources available if writing liturgy or anything like that is not your forte. But it's really important to have a plan. Something else you need to think about as part of your plan is if you're going to have music. For example, this Sunday I played 2 public domain hymns, which are any hymns that were first published before 1925. So I used Amazing Grace and Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing, and I played them on guitar. It worked. So if you play an instrument, even if it's just a kazoo, have fun with it, but make sure that you have appropriate licenses or you are using public domain hymns. But while you're waiting for people to come on, you might want to think about playing a prelude of some kind. It doesn't have to be anything big or grandiose or anything like that, but just some background music so that people aren't just like, is this really going on? Is this Frozen? What's going on? And with that, with that music, it'll help enter into time of worship. Now, one thing I haven't been doing is smiling. And it's really important that you smile with this because, especially on Facebook Live, it will screen grab one shot from your video. And if you're not smiling, 90% of the time, then it might grab a really weird face. And I've seen some really weird screen grabs on videos from Facebook Live. So make sure you smile. If you don't have a Facebook page for your church, please, please, please start a Facebook page for your church. It is the easiest thing to do if you have a Facebook account. It'll walk you through it. But if you don't, and you are hesitant to start one up, and you go live from your personal Facebook account, invite your friends, invite your parishioners so that they know that you're live. Because it may not always show up right away from your page that you're live. Unfortunately, that feature is not available for Facebook pages, only groups and individuals. So keep that in mind as you are planning. Have some people share it. Have your lay leader, your SPRC or ad board chair that you know are going to be participating. Have them share it as soon as you go live and they see it, because that's going to be the best way to get it out there. And then comment. Comments will boost the Facebook algorithm, so it'll pop up on people's news feeds quicker. Be yourself. It's a little awkward trying to just talk to a camera that you only see yourself. But remember that there's somebody else on the other side of the camera. It's not like Sunday morning service where you've got a captive or hostage audience that will interact with you. They will still interact with you, but it will be through comments. And if you are not being authentically yourself, it's going to come off stilted and stiff and dry. It's a little nerve-wracking, I admit. But once you get through the first couple, it'll be okay. God has called us for such a time as this to still continue to share the message of Christ. We just need to adapt the message through the means that we have available. There's a thing called virtual personal space. So if I have the camera this close, it's not very comforting. But back here, there's a feeling of, okay, this is an appropriate amount of space. This is approximately how far away, maybe a hair too close for a normal conversation. So you want to think about that as you're setting up. How close am I to the camera? Would this be an appropriate distance for a normal in-person conversation? Set that distance and you're golden. We talked about needing something to prop the device, the lag time. So when you close your service, wait or play some postlude music. It could be the same prelude music that you did at the beginning, and then hit end live. That way, if you do a benediction, it won't get cut off, because as soon as you hit end live, it will cut off. So even if your viewer is watching and you're mid-sentence, it's done. They will never get to see that. So give yourself time. Don't rush. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it as far as tips and tricks and things that can be challenging. Have a music stand or a desk or something that you can prop materials on that's out of the way. You don't need a fancy setup. The materials that I used on Sunday, I have access to because of my wife's, I don't have more than one wife, my wife's business that she does a lot of selling online. So I have access to a ring light that puts the phone right in the middle of a light that's a ring and projects very bright light. That way it's true color, not backlit or anything like that. But if all you have is some books, some hymnals, or some Bibles to prop your phone up, do it. If you have more than one church, you will need to get creative on how you're going to do it. But these challenges are minor in the grand scheme of things. Right now, we're concerned about the safety of our people, the people that God has called us to serve. Screen size, I knew I was going to forget something, which is why you should always have a plan. Screen size is important as well, because one of the challenges I found, I was using my wife, her old iPhone SE, so, only about that big. I could barely read the comments due to how far away the screen was. And so that's something to consider as well. If you have a smaller phone or if you're using a computer, you may need to find a way to get closer but not invade that virtual personal space. But if you have any questions, please feel free, reach out to me. We're here at this time to bear witness to the grace of God, and we will overcome this through patience, through perseverance, through prayer, through the work of the Holy Spirit. May God bless you all, and may the light of Christ continue to shine. Amen.